My name is Carina Gardner, and I'm what you would call a practical designer. If you're ready to create a life that you love, become an incredible force for good, and generate income while pursuing your dreams, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to Make and Design. Sometimes we call it burnout. Sometimes we call it endless to-do lists. But what I call it is just drowning in too much to do. And I can tell you that a lot of us, especially as creatives or business owners, feel that we are drowning in so many things. Our task lists seem endless. It doesn't feel like we're making any traction, and it feels hard. And the truth is that a lot of people feel this way as they open businesses and as you are creative. So what do we do to mitigate some of these problems? Well, let's first talk about some of the things that are going on, and hopefully we can kind of figure out best practices so that we can get better at this, right? If this is perfect timing for you, like you're hearing this and you are currently feeling like you're drowning, first of all, you need to know you're not alone. It's so funny because actually, even today, as I was looking at my to-do list, it was actually very short. And suddenly, like 10 more things popped on it as the day went on. And I was feeling really frustrated about it. Like I thought I had this whole day to work on. I was actually working on my font design class for the university. And I was like, there's no time for it. All of these other little things kind of started popping up, and I was like, I have to finish these. These are important. They're timely, as in they have to happen this very second. And if you've experienced this, like you're putting out fires, you're just not alone, okay? So here is some of the stats that I found on this, which is so crazy. It said, this one is from the Pew Research Center in 2018, and it says that nearly 60% of U.S. adults say they often feel too busy to enjoy life. That really concerns me for all of us overall, right? Especially as creatives, because we really want to be enjoying our lives and making sure that the work we're doing also feels very enjoyable. How about this one? 87% of creatives say they experience burnout at least once a year. This is from Adobe State of Create in 2022. How about this? Multitasking reduces productivity by up to 40%. And this is actually one of those things that I get really frustrated with because I don't want to be multitasking. I want to be just doing one thing, focusing in on that thing and doing it really well and then moving to the next activity. But I don't do very good at this unless I've like scheduled out my day. And so when like 10 new things pop up on it, I feel very like disjointed and I'm not sure what I should be doing and, you know, which task is the most important. And it feels very overwhelming to me. How about this? Only 2% of people can effectively multitask. This is Stanford University study. It's such a good myth buster for anyone who says, I'm great at juggling it all. And I just know very few people who really are great at juggling it all. I am not great at juggling it all. I really think that multitasking is one of those things that really is hard for all of us. And then this one really hurts, okay? The average person checks their phone, do you even want to guess? 144 times per day. And it contributes to this constant feeling of being behind, even when we are very busy. This is from, the information came from Ashurian, 2022, 144 times per day. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you're drowning in activities, how do we combat this? And this is something that I am personally working on myself. One of the main ways that I combat this is by having a very clear and defined Google Calendar that my entire team can see, not just for me, but for my whole team. I was just with my creative entrepreneur mastermind. We're kind of in our last couple of weeks of it because, and by the time you hear this, it'll be done. Creative Entrepreneur Mastermind, we only do once a year and it starts in January. So we're kind of at the end of it. Anyway, they were asking a little bit about kind of how I effectively time managed. And I said, I literally can tell you what most important activities should be done and are going to be done on a daily basis for the next 6 weeks. And they were like, how? And I showed them my Google Calendar. I have time blocked off my every day for the next several weeks. And there are holes in it where I can add more things or I can move things around. But the most important activities that I know need to happen end up on that calendar way, way in advance. And it helps me when 10 new things pop up on my calendar for this exact day when I have all of these other important things that need to happen so that I can decide what really is the most important thing. Now, the nice thing is a lot of the activities that pop up on our calendars are things that take 10, 15, 30 minutes. And so what I'll do very often is at the end of my day, I'll have an area of time that's open, usually an hour or two, where I can take care of those tasks and get them done after I finish my most important work. But I will tell you, I try really hard to do my most important work first. And that is really hard to do, right? So for you as a designer, your most important work is actually designing, getting your design work and your products done. For you as a designer, your next most important is production, getting your stuff ready for customers with mock-ups and listings and, all of the descriptions and stuff to get it ready to go. For you as a designer, the most important activities are listing your products, selling your products, any of the activities that actually make money in your business. Those activities come before everything else. Now, some of you might be like, what about customer service? To me, customer service is an important thing. So you kind of prioritize it. You'll move it to the front so that you can answer anyone who's got concerns about your products, right? So that's the fulfillment piece of your business. What about email? I will tell you guys, most of the time, I try very hard not to check my email until about 2 hours into my day. So I will try to do with a clear brain my most important activities the first couple of hours of the day. And then email will come later. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm recording this, and I just barely got to my email. Like I did it at 1:30 today. And the reason is because unless there are things in your business that really have to be taken care of really soon, if I do it too early in the day, I will spend my whole day working on everybody else's stuff, getting everybody's things done. And I just can't do that. There were really important things this morning I needed to do. I was actually videotaping the rest of my capstone class, laying out and structuring it and scheduling it, because capstone is interesting because at the university, we have meetings at the end of the semester for it. So I was kind of laying out how we're going to do that and how people had to do their presentations. And I was making videos. My energy is best for making videos at the beginning of the day. You'll notice I'm doing this podcast at the end of my day. So a podcast, I do want the energy there, but I don't need the same kind of energy as when I'm on camera. And so I really try to push energy things that need my full attention at the beginning of the day. Now, interestingly enough, these podcasts were scheduled for the beginning of the day, but because yesterday I was unable to finish all the capstone classes, those moved into the morning. So I had to push back the podcasts, and I was fine with moving it towards the end of the day because I had meetings in the middle of the day. So I think there's a certain amount of adaptability and flexibility when you feel like you're drowning to make sure that things work. The next thing I did was I looked at the things on my list that kind of popped up and I moved them to other days of the week. So there were things that I was like, this is not urgent this second. It will be fine to do it tomorrow. And I moved it into tomorrow's, and I found a little place in the day where I could do it. There were things that I was able to move 3 days out. And so I moved them all the way out 3 days onto my calendar. Now, I told you that one of my biggest things that I do is have a calendar, and you can hear why. Because if I didn't have a calendar to move all of these things further up on, I would let these tasks sit on my list today because I don't know what I'm doing in the next 3 days. But since I know what's happening in the next 3 days, I can move them off my calendar of today and move them into a day further down the road, knowing that my most important things are still going to get done. I think that as designers, we should have at least one digital calendar that we're working with. And our team really loves Google Calendar because we're all able to get on it. And I think if you're someone who likes to handwrite things, and I do, I like to have one place that I handwrite what I'm doing during the day because it allows me to add all of those extra tasks and kind of divvy them up into the correct day. So that's the main thing I do to help with my feeling of drowning. It's basically my way of treading water, getting back where I can get to a place where I'm getting some air so that even if I'm treading, and yes, it's hard work to tread, I'm not actually like underwater, like unable to make things happen. And if you're feeling very, very frustrated right now, I suspect it's because you don't have a calendar where you're marking and you're seeing all the things that you have going on. Sometimes stuff will show up for me on like a day like today. It actually happened. I looked at it and I said, that doesn't need to be done for 2 more weeks. I don't need to do this for a while. And so I placed it on the calendar as a priority in 2 weeks time. And so it has like a really great time block spot for me to actually do it, which is kind of amazing. Okay. So I want to give you guys an analogy to help you think about this whole concept of your getting things like organized so that you are running your design business efficiently. Okay. I call this the overflowing backpack. Okay. So I want you to imagine carrying a backpack and adding just one more thing every time someone asks you for help. Okay. So maybe you're with other people, maybe you're along the way and you find one more cool rock and you add it, or someone hands you a pressed flower and you add it in, or you find a really cool branch and you put it in, and slowly and surely you start gathering so many items, and at first it's really manageable. Like you've gathered these things and it's not too heavy, but soon the weight becomes unbearable. And not because it's one huge item, it's because of all of these small items piled on top. And so what I'm telling you to do is to take the heaviest things, the things with the biggest priorities, and get rid of them first. And then smaller priority items, you divvy up and you finish getting those done so you can throw them outside of your backpack as you move forward, okay? The nice thing about the overflowing backpack is that, yes, are they still on your back and you do need to get to them? Yes, but they're lighter if you know that you don't have to take care of them right now, this very second. I'm trying to think of a good way to say this to you. Maybe let's pretend we're on a hike and we're going to go up the trail and then back down again. And this is a little bit akin to you're using your calendar and you pull out an item that you don't need to take all the way to the top. And you just put it on the ground in the trail, knowing that you're going to hit that part of the trail again and be able to pick it up. It's kind of like that. You go all the way up the trail. You didn't have to carry that whole thing with you. You come back down and you pick it up on the way down, right? You pick it up on the way down. And so now you've picked it up at the right time and the right time to take care of it. That's a little bit what this is like. And I'm hoping that you can use this analogy or this metaphor to help you understand that you are going to be putting rocks along that trail for you to pick up along the way. But there's no good reason to carry every single one of those rocks to the top of the trail because you're coming right back down again. Hopefully that really helps you. I know it helps me because that's what a calendar or scheduling system really does for me. And I personally like a digital and a physical because I like to hand write things out. Our brain does something different when we hand write something out. And so even though I'll have it all on my calendar digitally, when I write it out, I'll make any changes. I can kind of figure out what's going on and I can put little notes to it saying like, this is important. Really, you have to finish this today, Carina. In my design business, part of the reason my design business was so successful, and if you're like, why is my design business not very successful, is because I always prioritize the most important things. And you've already heard me talk about them, okay? 1, actually getting the design work done. 2, production time. 3, prioritizing sales. Like those 3 things should be, if not every day, happening every week in your business so that you know that things are moving forward. And if you're not prioritizing those things, you're spending a lot of time learning or you're spending a lot of time just designing, then you aren't doing the things necessary to make your business go. We've got an interesting semester coming up. Summer semester is starting May 19th for the University of Arts and Design, and we have several students who are ready and starting their capstone classes. And because of that, they're going to be building out all of their strategies. So they're going to be building out like their businesses. And one of the things as I was working on the capstone class is making sure that everybody is putting in marketing strategies and sales strategies, which are, by the way, two totally different things, into those designs so that they're not just spending all their time designing, they're spending all their time figuring out how to use strategies that really work so they can build their businesses. That's what I really want for you. You're really prioritizing the things that are going to make you move forward. Okay. So, one last thing I want to tell you, and you guys have heard this story before, but the frog, when you throw a frog into boiling water, it's just going to jump out because it knows it's too crazy, it's too busy, it's too hot, and they're going to die. Okay. This is like people who don't go clean a room that's like got stuff in it because they already know it's going to take lots and lots of time, right? But if you put a frog in lukewarm water and then you turn it up a little bit at a time, it's never going to notice when it starts boiling, right? That's kind of what's happening to you often when you're drowning and you're putting too many extra tasks on your list. You don't even realize you're in the middle of it, and that's really what causes overwhelm. It's what causes burnout, which is ironic because this is boiling water I'm talking about, burnout, and it's what makes us not move forward as designers. So if you can do things to help yourself, and the number one thing, in my opinion, that's going to really get you there is organizing and having a digital calendar where you can figure out how to lay out your whole life to make sure that you're good to go, right? Then it will be so much easier. I hope this really helped you, and I can't wait for some of you to really try this in your life. It is a game changer, a literal game changer, you guys, to actually know what you're going to do every time you wake up in the morning. I know, like when I wake up in the morning, I can literally look at my calendar and I know exactly what's happening for the day. And that is a really great way to do things because guess what? I don't spend my mornings trying to figure out what's going to happen today. I already know. I already know what's going to happen. Now, if you're wondering how often I schedule and I work on things, it does kind of at the end of my day, I'll kind of see what's going on and I'll kind of move things throughout the calendar. But I also block off about once a month, about a 2-hour calendaring time on a Monday. And I use that time to look at the next 2 months to make sure that all the right activities and the things I need to prioritize are on the calendar. That really helps, and it gets things so that I'm able to get my activities done. And you can too. Like as you get busier, if you want to know a profitable designer and what they're doing, like I can promise you, they have their days scheduled out in ways that make a lot of sense for marketing, sales, and design. They just do. And so if you've been like nervous and you're like, why am I not profitable? I can guarantee it's because you've been a little too chaotic with your scheduling and you don't have the right things on your calendar. So no more drowning, guys. We're going to tread some water, maybe even swim a little so that we're like aggressive. We're like going. But if you're just worried about right now getting out of the drowning mode, all you have to do is tread water, start that calendar, get really clear on the activities you need to do, and you will be winning before you know it. Did you know you have access to more free design content, die cut files, and sewing patterns? Join our exclusive VIP group for free by going to designsweetcourses.com/free.